So yeah, I'm going to read to you from my first serial called printed it up so that was like have my head. Anyways, I tried to do it one time, read it up. Me, the reader. So yeah, I have issues reading on Monday night at 10 o'clock because, well, I like to drink. I like to be a bad boy. Uh, Apparently I fall asleep. Like last night, I was ready. I was ready. I sat down at my computer. It was 9-ish, getting ready. And woke up. Big time. Oh well. Oh well. And so usually I get 3 or 4 people. They were already at, well, above it. Not that I expect a lot of people because what is it I always say? Yeah, the best writing you probably never heard of. Well, it is what it is, right? So I'm going to I'll try and give you a little update. A person Ricky uh on is it brother, two brothers, their father giving him artists or wood funk, that kind of thing. So uh, the brother, one of the brothers ends up killed, and they just miss it twice. Then all of a sudden, they're heavy. All hell breaks loose. Then hole in the wall, and these people come in there, and oh yeah, and by the way, he's being exported. All the people twist into portal into wow. So when they go into the future, they accidentally there's a glitch, and they don't understand any of it, of course, and so then they're locked inside the mind of these two people live in the um. Well, they attack just everything. Yeah. So then they flee, and she gets captured, taken, and her brother is killed. And the hero of the story is on a raft floating down a river, and the like girl appears out of one of those portal things. Was it his brother from? He does nobody. And then there we are. Not quite. So they again they flee, and they're going down the stream, and they end up going over a water. Not a big one in 2030. Not huge. They've got this huge raft, so they managed to make it out, and they flip the raft over, and then they keep going down, and then they find a place where they're going to spend the night. So they kind of pull the raft out so that they can sleep on the text, and then that's where we are. So they get attacked by the people They're like a scavenger type. And so then he killed them. And now we're caught up sort of. Oh, here we go. Without further ado, that's ADO, not ADIU. One's goodbye, one's a mess. We're in the mess. So I tied each one of them without any thought of mercy. Tied their hands behind their back, looping one end of the rope over a branch and then hoisting them up. Oh, screaming, Mag. Tied them up on the other side of the spring. If you make a lot of noise, attract more attention to you. Stolen weapon. Took the nicest dagger of the three. Don't want to attract attention to you. We're not alone, one of the men managed to spit out. Good, I said, looking up at him a mile. Nothing I like more than hunting scavengers. Fun. I'll see you dead by sunup, he said. If you even see sunup, all that noise you make, attention you back, won't be your friends. Did you forget? These woods are all full of predators. Why do you think I tied you up over here? I don't want any predators coming into my camp. There are no predators out here. We've seen them. We would have seen them. I wouldn't be too sure of that, I said, picking up what rope I didn't get. You know what they say, they only come out at. Can't just leave us here. No, it's what I've done to is what I've done to any of excuse me. Surely. That's it. No. Is what I've done to you any different from what you were planning to do to us? That's a slave army up ahead. But you already know that, don't you? They're always willing to take more victims for the arenas. If you would have caught me napping, maybe I'd be where you are now, but they've been known to make trades. Slavers have. You should consider yourselves lucky. I would have put an arrow through you and brought you to them. They'd just kill you. You're not much use to them if you can't fight, are you? I walked across the clearing, looking up at the stars and the dying light of the fire. I looked at the rabbit, flipped it over. One side was charred, but there was still plenty of good meat left. I lifted the raft and looked under it. Come on out and have some rabbit. Now, are they gone? She asked. A few of them are. Decided to keep a few of the others alive. Keep them? You mean they haven't run off? I smiled. Did you think I was just going to scare them off? What they should have done was wait until we were asleep. Then they would have come over here and we'd be going to the stables instead of them. Well, after they all worked their way through you, what? They failed to understand one thing about teachers for people. And what would that be? I'm a huntsman, said, born and bred. I played at the foot of the Vandals, and I've hunted predators most of my life. I can steer better, smell better, and see better. It would be nice to hurt, don't you? I don't mind rabbits, she said, biting and sucking on a bone. Still, I wouldn't mind a bird, I said. An hour later, the rabbit was picked clean and the sun was down. Vandals stood out against the tapestry of stars that floated over the edge of the world and disappeared into what looked like was forever. I've always liked the stars, though. I could never read them. My father used the stars to travel by. We'd sit out some nights and he'd tell me some of the names of different stars. It was a memory I held on to from my childhood. Of course, that only brought back memories. Well, we need to get under the raft after that moment. Are you crying? Smoke in the fire, I said. Picked up my bow and quiver, as well as my sword, find the arrows I have. Along with what other weapons, and spread whatever clothing I could find on the ground. Now we go. Fuck me, Toto. We're not in Kansas anymore, I said into this. Ricky, is that you? Ken, is that the real you? I said, recognizing her voice in the dark. Yes, it's me. What the fuck is going on? Where's Jimmy? All I can think of that when you opened the portal, you did something to the timeline. Then what? Is Is that even a thing? You stepped off, you stepped out of your timeline and into the minds of two people in this mind. Jesus Christ, Jen, what do you mean into their mind? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's not how this is supposed to fucking work. Because I'm telling you right now, that sounds a lot like the old Vulcan mind meld Mr. Spock used to on the fucking Star Trek. Star Trek. Why would you think that? Dad always said he was a warrior. He had long hair and a wife. Well, as street kid, I know about the kid. You know about the kids? How? What do you know? Girl's body. The girl's body Helen stepped into is your father's daughter in this timeline. I think that's why you ended up here. You mean my father is now my father-in-law on this side? There's irony. How do you know that about my father, I mean? The bracelet I had was synced into every computer on the planet. In the future, not in this. It's how we do things in the future. Every person's system in the history of their family traced back through their DNA. This is as far back as we've been able to get. How far into the future are you talking about? 3,500 years. All that fucking knowledge. And you come to this shithole? I had to laugh at the idea. Speaking of your bracelet, where is it? Gone. What does that mean? It's lost somewhere in time. Lost. But somewhere in time. Does that mean you'll get it back? And where's my brother? I lost him too. Jesus, fuck, Jen, how the hell do you... What about my father, I said suddenly. What about him? You brought him here, knowing he has fucking dementia. What were you thinking? Did you lose him too? He has dementia on the other side, not here. How the hell do you call it the other side? The other side of what? The other side of time. It's a different timeline. The hell have you got me mixed up in? I'll sort it all out. How? You don't even have your fucking bracelet. No, but you have yours. If I can get you to stay in this consciousness long enough, we can use your bracelet, find your brother, and get what we came here to get. And what did we come here to get? It's complicated, she said. Now, go back and get wits. I pushed the raft off us slowly, my bow not an arrow in place. The fire was nothing more than a pile of smoldering ash. I crawled out from under the tossing whatever was left of habit onto the ash, a small cloud of dust. Slowly crept to the other side of the raft, grabbing the rope hanging from it, and began pulling it up. Oh, small. You can come out now, I said as I buckled my scabbard. Slipped the bandolier of crossbow bolts over my head and level. Then I tied a short length of rope to my leg. Are we safe? Sniffed the air, searching for any unfamiliar scents that might be lingering. Smelled the prisoners across the clearing. There was a stench of dried sweat, fresh urine about them, and I nodded. I'd be more concerned if I caught their scent. It seemed that the air was full of the scent of pain. Are you hungry? I asked. Having lived in the wastelands, I knew any chance to eat was something you should never deny yourself. I walked to the river's edge and looked at the water dapple, its silver buttons of sunlight breaking through the trees. Nodded to myself as I bent down to drink, splashing the water on my face and washing the sleep away from time. Do you like fish? I asked. If you fish, never eaten fish before. No? Well, let's find out then, I smiled. Sitting on a log on the riverbank, picked at a length of rope, untwining it to a thin length. I felt for it long enough, tied it to the arrow's head, coiling the length and tucking it into my pants. Let's go, I said. We can pick up some firewood along the way. Where are we going? Fishing, I said, following the river. We followed a narrow trail along the river. I stayed off to the side, told her to follow my lead, trying, if she could, match my footsteps. Although I put little stock in the stretch my prisoners called out and pulled their bonds, I knew not to dismiss them out of hand. Scavengers were known to travel in packs, like the wild dogs they are, I told them. While several foraging parties could be sent out 3 different directions, one of those parties failed to return. The other was set out to search as soon as possible. The water was calm and the fishing plentiful. Soon we had 3 fish and made our way back to the small campsite. After rekindling the fire and bringing it back to life, I gutted the fish, laying them on the rocks. Picking up my bow, I made my way across the clearing to look in at my 3 prisoners, search the air for any unfamiliar scent. Thoughts. One of the prisoners was missing. I notched an arrow and dropped down to the ground, slowly making my way to where I'd tied the prisoners the night before. Keeping the wind in my face and my back to camp across from the clearing, I could hear the blood rushing through my ears with a steady beating heart. I lay silent, slowing down my breath, senses in tune with everything. Searched the air for his scent, knowing that I'd eventually find a trace of him, who wouldn't be able to hide forever, and I wasn't about to give up. Searched the grass ahead of me, looking for a full sun. Man, it lay hidden in the grass without exposing himself. Not a scavenger. It's the same with the larger predators, and when it comes right down to it, scavenger is just a predator. But you have to learn to read the signs around you. Man hiding in the grass gives off a distinct odor. It's not just the smell of fear or adrenaline, it's but the smell of broken grass, scent of upturned soil as a man digs himself in, the accelerated heartbeat that colors the smell of his sweat. It comes with knowing the difference, the rustling grass that moves with every breath. I stood up, turned to my left, and released the arrow. I heard the man's death rattle followed by a scream as the man 20 paces behind me stood up and coming at a fast run through a large spear. I stepped to one side, snatching the spear out of the air in one hand and pivoting, drove the spear into the man as it came at me at a full run. Unable to stop in time, he impaled himself. Pushed him off the spear's tip with my foot, pushing him back and withdrawing the spear at the same time. No sooner had I done so than I was pivoting and throwing the spear with all I had, covering the clearing. The spear flying clean and true as it caught another man in the small of his back. I drew my sword and ran as fast as I could across the clearing. I knew I had to make it back to the campsite. Heard an arrow passing over my shoulder, lodging into a tree with death. That told me the man was close and had my range. I ducked to the left and 3 paces later swerved to the right again, facing a tree behind me as another arrow pounded. I could see the woman ahead of me. By the gods, I'd yet to learn her name. Held captive by 5 men, 3 of whom stood a spear's length away from her. I pulled the dagger out of its sheath and threw it on the run, striking a man in the back, burying the blade hilt. The second man I took with my blade, driving it straight into his side as I rolled to my left, lashing the back of another man's knees. He went down with a scream, and I was quick to take his weapon from him, the large war axe. With a 2-handed heave, I released the weapon and watched it cleave the fourth man's chest while the last man dropped his spear in an attempt to run. Picked up the spear and threw it as I grabbed the woman and pulled her toward the raft. Quick, now, I screamed at her. Grabbed the gunwales and whatever line of rope she could, helping me pull the raft into the river. I could see 5 more men coming through the trees. I dropped to a knee, pulling an arrow from my quiver and took down the first man. I reached for another arrow in my quiver, only to discover that I was out of arrows. Scanned the bodies about me and saw that the man whose leg I'd slashed was crawling toward a tree. He was also carrying a full quiver of arrows. I made a quick run for him, kicking him in the ribs as hard as I could, taking the quiver from him as he rolled to the side, holding his broken ribs. I was quick to notch an arrow and take aim without a moment's hesitation, taking down a second man. 3 more were still running toward me. I turned and ran toward the raft again, grabbing whatever I could, pulling it toward the river. A woman waded out into the water as far as she could, pulling and then jumping into the raft as I grabbed the steering oar and tossed it into the water ahead of me. She reached out and pulled it into the. I jumped into the raft and hopped, killing the first man and cleared the woods ran 3 paces full into the river, died clutching at the air throat. I reached for the steering oar and attached it to the back of the raft as best I could, hoping it wouldn't fall off. We were quick to outdistance farther shore, catching the current, floated. What was that? Scavenger said. I guess he wasn't lying. They'd managed to untie one by the nothing like a paddle. And we won't be able to go down the river much farther, I said, watching Thorla to the ground, giving more treacherous pain. Huge forests grew down to the water's edge, obscuring the view. Vandals were little more than a recent memory, deep off distant, looking like a long blue line painted to draw. These new hills rose up at sharper angles, as if the land had collided with itself, throwing huge mountains at the landscape, as if it was attempting to shut itself off from outside. Are we going through there? She asked, looking at the map, trees lining the door. Not if I can help it. You don't know? You know very little about these parts, I guess. So you mean you've never been here before? Why would I have a need to? I grew up in the heart of the Vandals. And what are those then? She asked, looking at different feet. They were different from the Vandals, taller and more imposing. I didn't know what the locals called them. I didn't even know who the locals were. But I could see crags poking up into the sky with columns of rock buried under endless snow with ice. Tops of the mountains were lost in the clouds, and only once in a while would the cloud break through the sky beyond. They were a sight to behold, but just looking at them, I knew the state was quite. There was sure to see footprints through the lower levels, but those would, in all likelihood, have a drive, train rocks down on Roy Tassie. They'll want to avoid going that way. But you don't know that for a fact. No, I don't, I'd say. But I do know that if I was leading an army of slavers, I wouldn't want to be going Shima. Losing my valuable cargo would be great. So how long before we have to leave the river? Soon. Too soon. The river's already starting to go south. Slavers will follow it as far as they can toward the head east, out over the plains. What's towards the east? They call it Orado. It's supposed to be one of the ancient cities. I thought you didn't know this place. Is Orado one of the League of Ten? What's the League of Ten? I said. Collection of old cities that traded goods and services with each other. That's what the 10 tribes were doing. Maybe it's where everything started from. Everything. What's that mean? This time, you're in what they called the age of cataclysm, she said. And I knew anything that had a name, had a history. What does it mean? It was a time of warlords and constant tribal warfare. Slavers, scavengers, the riders. These were just some of the tribes that wanted to claim. In time, they'll become obstinate. So they cultivate the land that built cities, League of Ten. Exactly. But maybe not. We've always thought those cities were built by the slavers, have whatever tech was left to find. They're the ones that rise on until eventually slaves they abuse rise up there. What's the common theme? Common, I said. Somehow, I don't think there's anything common about any of it. Not with you being here. That's supposed to mean. You tell me you're here from the future, but then you say you're not here intentional. I never said that. So you are here intentional. I didn't come here on purpose. The man that's in your head from the past came here. I followed him here because you say you were with my brother. A brother I don't have. Yes, brother you don't have in this timeline. But that's in the past. In the past, you have 2 brothers. They came here to escape what? Act? Yes. And from that point on, everything starts to get confusing because this man you say you're following or trying to rescue is now somehow a part of me, his subconscious mind, a part of yours. Yeah. So you say, I said, to the nearest shore. We'll put in there for the small sandy beach ahead with over rock. Ella jumped out of the raft, hoping pulling it, the sandy beach, jumped out and made it. We picked up the raft, steaming everything. But what little supplies we had, a small pile. Are we making camp? We'll be going to the rest of the way on foot. We won't be able to take the raft. We can break it apart, hide it here, break it apart. I'll take the floor out and then we can use it for cover when we sleep. No one will see us from a distance. So I'm thinking it'll be safer, a safer way to travel. Safer? Well, safe in the night. Aren't you afraid the slavers will get too far ahead of us? It's an army. They can only go as fast as their slowest vehicle. They have wagons that keep their captives. How do you know so much about them? My father told me a great deal about them. He always told me, if you see slavers, hide, have a weapon, or it took me most of the day. Excuse me. It took me most of the rest of the day to break the raft, ditch floor to the gunwale lining, pitch, create a seal, which I now slice open, and bits at a time. It was tedious work. I'm finding both me. Going to need a fire, I said. Is that your way of telling firewood? You know I can't. Then I guess you have to collect firewood, I said, pulling one word out. Remember what I told you. Don't chop any trees down. Thought you were going to say, stay where I can see you, she said. Do I even need to tell you? Is it safe? I wouldn't send you. Made 3 trips out, and by the time she came back with the 4th armload, we had a pile that would last well into the night. I was just finishing the last cuts into the back, stood up to straighten my back, and looked for her. This wasn't anywhere in sight. Sheathed my dagger, picking up the longbow and quiver. It was too quiet. I wrapped the belt and empty scabbard around my waist as I stepped around the rock, tasting the. Everyone has a thing. Stick dagger. The 4 crossbow bolts heading numbly into my wrist quiver. Then I followed the small trail she'd made. I noticed that she'd gone farther afield with every armload of firewood. Came across her last armload of firewood scattered about. Cord was laying off to the side. Picked it up and followed it, came to a large hole in the ground. The dirt piled on the outside of it as if it had been pushed up or punched out of the ground. I picked up the dirt and smelled it. It was rancid. There was also a trace of her sentiment. Turned and looked at the pile of firewood about 2 dozen places. Whoever or whatever it was, come from behind on the fastest. From where I stood, I would have been completely out of sight. I walked a small path, eyeing the river, still unable to see where I'd been standing. I walked back to the hole, thinking it couldn't be too deep, that whatever it was, probably I wouldn't have much time to hide. Dropped through the hole and hit the bottom. Jolt of pain echoed, but struggled to stand again, leaning against the wall of what seemed to be a well-formed tunnel. It wasn't something that had been dug out recently, something in shape over its span of years. The walls and ceiling looked to be covered in old tiles. They were old, chipped, in places covered under a layer of dirt 2 fingers deep. I sensed whatever it was up ahead of me. I'd hear her trying to fight it off, and suddenly there was a loud scream that was almost a roar. It wasn't her voice. I drew my blade, popped the small crossbow hanging from my belt, checked to see if I still had the 4 crossbow bolts on my wrist quiver. I slipped my longbow over my left shoulder, thinking, probably would have, probably wouldn't be using it as much as I would the crossbow or my sword, but I wanted it to be handy all the same. There were holes in the ceiling letting in the light, and I supposed that whatever it was that had her, it wasn't something it hadn't done before. The tunnel branched out into three separate tunnels. I bent to a knee awkwardly, feeling a bolt of searing pain, and bit down the urge to cry out as I began searching the ground. I was feeling it with my hand, looking for footsteps or ridge depressions that told me they were wearing shoes, because um, I searched the opening of all three tunnels, finally seeing the tracks of the dim light coming through the holes above me. Stood the entrance, searched the air, found her scent, moved ahead with extra degree of caution. I didn't know who it was that had her, but I knew it was fate. This was something I'd never come across before. If Jarrell was, he'd be documented very step of the way. He had a habit of doing that. He had a mind that works that way. Could say, yes, that's all. Agreed to guard shot. Something told me these were more than just simple. Came across the first one. They came around a long bend. He was standing with his back to me, unaware. It smelled the stench of him. He was almost naked. His shoulders were muscle, rounded, and stood at least a head taller than me. His hair hung down the length of his back. It was caked with dirt and dried mud. He had some sort of twisted rag around his waist, club as long as my forearm, somehow tied up in it. He looked all out of proportion. His arms were too long, his hands hanging down to his knees. His fingernails looked like they'd been filed with points. I say him simply because whatever it was standing on 2 feet. Its face was unlike any man I'd ever come across. It was more like one of the great apes I'd seen in the forests of the wasteland. Of course, those were wild predators, not the least bit human. This thing was more of a hybrid, not quite ape, not quite human. It was hairy, and it is hair, I told myself, slipping my blade through its back. I reached up, placing my hand over his mouth, preventing the death rattle from escaping. Took the club, thinking it might come in handy later. Excuse me. I made my way down the tunnel again, seeing a faint glow ahead. It struck me that I thought the tunnel all ended at the same place. Would not be good, or there was natural light open. For one thing, followed the light until I open earth. Look, the round of dirt, twisted fruits, cobs, tiered tiered seats. There were tiered seats cut into large mounds of earth and rock, and it looked like everyone was climbing up the dirt mound, using the roots as handhold. Their voices a babble, almost circular tone on the part of the ceiling. Once upon a time, was sitting on a pile of broken stones at an angle, and I could see the woman naked. Clothes had all but ripped off. Clothes had been all but ripped off, eating were long, down here on down. I reached for the longbow, notching it. I waited, proud and furry. Wondered what exactly for. There was the sound of a drum in the distance, and an expectant hush fell over the crowd. The sound of the drum picked up, and I knew whatever was going to happen, I'd be lucky to make it. I had to decide whether the first arrow I shot was in defense of her or to put her out of her misery. Heard footsteps behind me and quickly moved to the tunnel across from me. Did they find their dead companion? Couldn't see. Couldn't see how they didn't. They made no effort to hide him. Saw no need to. I watched four of the creatures approach, two of them dragging the dead one between them. Stepped into the light, screaming in rage as they dropped the body on the. One of them jumped onto the stone where the woman lay, using it as a podium, screaming at the crowd, pointing at the body of. He squatted down over the woman, screaming at her, and reached for his club, lifting it. It was now or never, I told myself. I had to decide whether I was going to kill the creature and save the woman, or kill the woman and save myself. His body was completely blossomed. Got it. So I stepped out of the tunnel, moved into the. No one seemed to notice how involved with the creature they were. He let the arrow go and it caught the man in the left side of his chest under his upgrade. Came out of the right side of his chest. I ran quickly, notching 3 more arrows in a row and killing the other 3 creatures closest to the woman. I drew my sword. I had only a moment to take advantage of the panic and commotion. I leaped onto the stone and sliced at the ropes holding her down. Quickly sheathed the blade and notched another. I don't know if this is going to work, but you're going to have to run. Now, I screamed, notching another arrow to my bow, let it fly, taking down the first creature and running down the stairs. I turned to follow her, jumped down from the altar, jarring my knee, fell with the scream. Thing about not having a plan is that you don't have a plan. I managed to force myself back to my feet and limping, forced my way to the dirt mound, shouldered the bow and grabbed the root, pulling myself up. Soil, rocks, and earth rained down behind as I scrambled up into the light. Pulled my dagger out, stabbing it into the dirt, pulling myself the rest of the way up. I climbed, stabbing at the dirt again. I looked up, saw the woman with her hand out, and reached up. The creatures were coming fast. Pulled the bow off my shoulder and began notching arrows, releasing them as fast as I could. There were easily 24 of them. I'd run out of arrows long before I ran out of targets. Pointed toward the river. Go! 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 Turned and ran again quickly. Made it back to the pole. The creature still following them. No one. We ran back to the campsite, throwing everything, us only pausing long enough to roll it up and tie it tight. Heaved it over the shoulder and guarded it open. Eddie thought. Eddie. I was so afraid, she said. There's no time to be afraid, I answered. We've got to keep moving. There's no telling how far those tunnels go. It looked like they've been there for a while. Can't go any farther, she said. Yes, you can, I screamed at her. We're going to die here if you don't keep moving. Now move, I said, pushing her forward. Kept looking, rolled it, all the while thinking, never reach it. Or behind it. I needed to get to the rocks. For some reason, I didn't think the tunnels reached. Rocks were probably 100 paces. The moment the ground burst open in front of her, pushed her to the side, swinging my sword as one of the creatures tried to climb the hole. I took its head off and kicked it, sending the torso back into. Get up as high as you can, I yelled. How high is that? Until I say stop. There we go. Oh, hi, Irene. How you doing? I finished. I finished it. Oh, excuse me. That was chapters 9 and 10. And wow, I've got 15 people here. Amazing. That's strange because I don't usually get that many people. That's okay. I don't mind. Like, not even enough to fill my front room. And I've had a lot of people in here, haven't I? So next week we will be reading chapters 11 and 12. I should actually make a note of that. So today is Tuesday, and tomorrow I put out what do you call that? Jack of Diamond. Thursday, I will be doing a for poets. I just love the idea of reading poetry. It's so weird. Oh yeah, I'm looking out the old weather window. Ice. Oops. With my sorry. Yes, the old weather window says it's going to be 28 degrees. What is Yes, 28 degrees. Summer has arrived, and it's not even summer yet. Gotta love it. And so let me see. Friday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I don't do any where, except for maybe I should think about writing my stories after 8, which comes out on Thursday. I'm busy. I didn't realize I was this busy, but what? Hey, so I should be writing my what is it? The Revolutionary, his wife and her lover. After that, done it yet? God only knows why. Last week's I had to do it on Saturday morning, but whatevs. Because I don't know where I'm going with it yet. I just know that a long involved story about the rise of Nazism is strange, and it's going to culminate in the Munich push. How do you say push? Pushed. Yeah, and the girl is pregnant, and so she's got a lot of things that she's got to think about and figure out. And okay, so that's Saturday. Sunday, we're probably having a barbecue, family day, so I won't be around. Well, maybe. Mondays are free now because I'm not doing this in the evening. They say I fall asleep. That's not good. Must be my age, I guess. I don't know. 10 o'clock could be could be the other stuff, you know, and other stuff. And yeah, so that takes me a full week, and then Tuesday we'll be back here again. So, and on the and on a further note, I have released an ebook. It is the first in my series trilogies, and I'm going to send it out, see if I can get a real public. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. It's $7.99, and the reason why it's $7.99 is it costs $2.50 per novella, and people seem to think because it's an ebook, you shouldn't charge it. And I seem to think that's bogus. That's bull. The reason why it's cheaper for an ebook, I believe, and this is just me, is that Amazon did that. Amazon is the one that said, "Oh, well, you should sell this at 99 cents." That's what we're 99 cents, and you get what, half of that. So you've got to sell hundreds of thousands to make yourself money. And it's not like I'm wanting to make myself a lot of money or with it. I want to make a little bit. The whole idea was to make money so that I could buy or I should print up the stories. But nobody seems to want that. So it is what it is, right? I'm trying to save up money so that I can print up my books, and nobody's buying. Nobody's nobody's becoming paid subscribers. And the only one I have that's a paid subscriber is Irene. The doesn't say who's paid or not. Like, I don't know. It is what it. So if I can get anybody to go paid and then I could print up the stories. The whole idea. This is what I need for my to be able to what do you call it? Afford to make my thingy, my books. I need to have I have it written down somewhere. Oh, there it is. Sales goal. I need to sell 300 books. 300 books at $7.99, and unfortunately, not available in Canada at the moment. Yeah, it's a new platform. It's only in the States at the moment, but a lot of people are here from the States. They could buy it. Oh, so what it is I need 300 books, and that will give me $2,000, and that will be enough. I can print up 150 copies. So if you buy the books at $7.99, or you join for a year, this is the whole idea. If you join for a year at $30 for the year, you get the book, and then I want to do 2 books, and you get the book, then you get the second book, you get all the ebooks. Everything that you get everything is free, as long as you're subscribed. As soon as you quit your subscription, you no longer get the books, which makes me, all you have to do is send me a postcard. I'll put all those postcards in a scrapbook, and I will mail each and every person in the book. I will mail them a copy of the book, the novel, the anthology, the trilogy. So every book will be called trilogy. This is trilogy 1, better word. And it's, what is it? The Bridges of Rome. The next one will be trilogy 2, Tales of the Diana Wood. Then, trilogy 3, The African Songbook, and on and on and on. And hopefully I will come out with 25 volumes of stories. And if I can get a legit publisher to do it, I'll do it. If I can do it myself for free, well, that's free, I'd have to pay for. But if I can do it myself, I'll do that. But once and who signs up? Nobody's signing up. So there you go. Bob's your uncle. Or good deal. Depends where you live. I happen to live in Murray, which, as we call it, Little India. So, and Gurdeal was a guy I worked with. He liked that. Bob's your uncle or Gurdeal. He loved it. Yeah. So if you want to buy a copy of the book, you can buy a copy of the ebook. I mean, if you want to help get the book so you can actually have a printed copy, you can subscribe $30 for the year. That gives you access to everything. Gives you access to my stories, my archives, poetry, Poets Corner, everything that I do going behind the paywall, except for Stories After 8. Stories After 8 are, as far as I'm concerned, my most important. And that's why they'll always be free. The one that has all my novellas. That's what I want to do, is just write straight novellas all the time now. Because that is, after all, the novella zone. And, what is it? 17,000 words is now a novella. It's like, I got a couple of little novelettes. Most are novellas. I have at the moment, I think, 18 or 19 of them. So I have 6 volumes put out. See? So it's not as if, not as if it's not happening. I just don't have the funds to do it. Because, well, in all honesty, we had to get the house repaired. Not repaired, but renovated. And slowly but surely, my money got eaten away. That happens because, some things are more important, I guess. But it never got replaced. It was supposed to, but shit out. It is. And so that's about it for the day. I'm going to say adieu. Proper one. Adieu. And join me tomorrow for, sorry, my voice. Join me tomorrow for Jack of Diamonds. Oh, wait, if you're paid. Sorry. If you're a paid subscriber, you can read Jack of Diamonds. Believe me, Jack of Diamonds is a cool story. Yeah, guy does parkour and what do they call it? Buildering. Yeah, look up parkour, then you can see what they do, and that's pretty cool. Buildering. Buildering came about in 1903. There was a man, he scaled the outside Cambridge University, did other buildings and made maps of how you could scale the building from the outside. Oh, I see. I see. Artemis Spencer. He does that. He climbs the outside of the building and he goes up into the upper reaches of the building and climbs onto the balcony. Because nobody locks their doors. Why would you? Balcony French doors or whatever. Why would you lock it? You're 7 stories above the ground. Who's going to come? Jack of Diamonds will. Yeah. So that's a good story. I like that one. That's cool. And I still have what's that thing? Locksley, the Shield of Locksley. And I've had a long one. Good. And that's all I have to say. And I do say a lot, don't I? I just talk a lot. Ask Irene, she'll tell you. Okay. I'm going to say adieu once again, and I'm calling it a day, Tuesday. And I will see you next week. Same bat time and the same bat channel. So for, what is it called again? Breakfast after my brother. Oh, what is it? Stories after breakfast with my brother. That's it. Stories after breakfast with my brother. He says hi. He doesn't know it, but yeah, he says hi. And okay, I'll catch you next week. See you later. Bye bye.